Start. Okay, we will try to take a deep dive in understanding the different types of connection modes that are possible with Power BI Desktop. So we know what is import and what is direct connectivity mode. We have already discussed it. In the case of Excel, JSON file, and even CSV files, import is the only connectivity mode is available. Okay, direct query connectivity mode is available with a couple of RDBMS system like Oracle, MySQL Server, and even Teradata. Those RDBMS systems, right? You can use direct query from your Power BI desktop. And apart from this, we have something called live connection. So live connection also we have seen it, but I did not explain it in detail about the live connection. We have seen how to use the Power BI desktop files, Power PBI DS files, right? Power BI data service files. Okay. And now we will try to understand the difference between or amongst these three connectivity mode and what exactly the connection, the import connectivity mode is all about, and what are the advantages and disadvantages of import connectivity mode, and what are the limitations. So in the case of import data connectivity mode, import connectivity mode, it supports all data sources, including RDBMS. For example, I have a table that is available in my SQL server. I can load the data into my Power BI desktop from SQL server using import connectivity mode. Also, direct connectivity mode is also possible, but even though the SQL server data are stored in tables, still we can use the import connectivity mode to load the data. But the difference is when you use the import connectivity mode for the SQL server table, the data from your table will get loaded into your Power BI desktop itself. So in this case, the data will be available in both places, in your Power BI desktop as well as in your SQL server system. Okay. The second point, what it says is the second bullet point, unlimited data sets per report. Per report, you can use any type of data files. You can use as many data files as possible or data sources. Let's say you have Excel file, you have JSON file, you have SQL server, and you have web page data, database data. You can mix up all the different type of data sources for a single report itself. Okay, unlimited data sources are possible in the case of import connectivity mode, and then maximum Power BI functionality is available. Okay, in the case of import mode. And the next one is the direct query mode, and the direct query mode, direct connectivity mode, right? It allows us to build visualizations over a very large data sets. Supposing your data volume is very high in the source system, SQL server. For example, in the SQL server, this is my SQL server. Okay, let's say I have a table called sales fact. This table has, let's 1 billion records in it. 1 billion records in it. This is my Power BI desktop. Power BI desktop. Okay. You develop a report or you build a report. For that, you need the every time, right? The current month data only. But your manager wants to see monthly sales performance. Okay, so per month, per month you need if you select out of 1 billion, the 1 month data, let's it comes around, let's hypothetically say 1 million records. 1 million records, is are very smaller than 1 billion records, isn't it? So what in that case, what we do is we directly send a query to the SQL server and execute the query here and send this out of 1 billion. For my I want to select only the North region data. for the Jan month, or let's say for Jan month, I want to select the data from this sales fact table. For Jan month, the volume of the data is 1 million. Let's think that way, okay? In that case, you send the query directly, and that query will run against this 1 billion records here, and then using some filtering criteria, okay? For that specific month, hey, give me Jan month sales data alone out of this 1 billion records. In that case, you are doing the filtering. What do you mean by filtering? We are selecting only the Jan month data, Jan 2022. Okay. In that case, what will happen is the query will run here, and then it will select 1 million records. It will send only the 1 million records to your Power BI report file. This is in the case of direct query mode. Direct query mode. Let's assume that you don't want to use a direct query mode, you want to import it. So to load this 1 billion records, okay, every month, it takes a lot of time, right? Every month, 1 billion plus, right? Records, if you load it, it will take longer time. Let's say, it takes 3 to 4 days time to load the data. Instead, what you do is, here also you have server, here also you have the Power BI desktop also runs on your server, separate server. Even this server has a lot of CPUs and RAM. Here also you have CPU and RAM. In that case, you are pushing the query here, and then, hey, this is your piece of job. You execute, give me what I wanted. I need only 1 million records. So query will run here. SQL server will send only the 1 million record. Rather than importing 1 billion records, right? We are just querying the source system table data, and then we are retrieving the 1 million records. With this 1 million record, if you build the report, the data refresh on a report will not take much time. First of all, you don't have the load time, right? Load time. You don't have the load time at all. Simply, you see in your report, the users are selecting the slicer. Slicer is kind of filter. The report user, let's say Avinash is the report user, he is selecting, hey, give me the monthly sales report starting from Jan 1st to Jan 31. Jan 1st to Jan 31 is selected it. The Power BI will generate a query, and then that query will be sent here. That query will run against this one. And then it will select January 1st to January 31st data, and then that data only will be sent here. Otherwise, what will happen is, let's say here you have 2021, 2020, 2019, all the 5 years data, simply you need to load it, and then you need to select 1 million data out of this. Instead, simply run the query here and get only whatever you needed, only you take it from there. Why do you need to load last 3 years data here, and then you need to select 1 million data, right? So loading, by the time it loads, there could be chances that the load may fail. Right? So that is what your direct connected mode. The queries are, but in this case, the data, the entire data will not reside here. Even the 1 million data will not be residing here. Okay. Only the query will send here, the data will be passed here, and then it will be visual. In the visual, this one will get populated. That's all. Okay. And the next one is these are the source system it supports: SAP, HANA, Oracle, Teradata. In the interview, they ask this question also: which source systems direct query supports? Direct query supports SQL Server, Azure SQL Database. See, SQL Server is on cloud. That is what Azure. Azure is Microsoft Cloud. Okay. And then SAP, HANA, Oracle, Teradata. If you tell at least 4 or 5, that is enough. Okay. The other thing is, other point is, you need to remember that any changes to the underlying data are not reflected immediately in any visuals. For example, 1 month data. So let's say January 1st to January 31st. Okay. If you run a query or create a report on Feb 1st, okay, then you will get all the data, right? Jan 1st to Jan 31st. Okay, the data you will get it. But when you on Feb 1st, when you generate a report, if somebody is modifying the 31st previous day data, right, it will not be reflected here. because you already fired a query, the query sent an output. By the time it is sending an output, some other user making changes to the previous data that will not be reflected immediately in your visuals. That is what he's saying here. The other disadvantage with the import data is, in the case of import data, there is a limitation here. What is the limitation? You cannot see here per file, it should not exceed more than 1 GB. Per file. For example, you have the customer dimension table is there. Customer dimension table is there. You want to load this customer dimension table into your Power BI. If this size of the table, boils down to more than 1 GB, you cannot load it with the free license. With the free and even pro license. Sorry, with pro license also there is a limitation. But overall, they give you 10 GB space in the case of free account. Okay, in the cloud service, Power BI cloud service, they will give you in total. Let's say if you go and sign up there, they'll give you 10 GB free space. But per file, you cannot. You're not supposed to exceed more than 1 GB. Let's say you have 10 tables. Each table should not. It should be 1 or less than 1 GB. It should not be more than 1 GB. If any one of the files exists more than 1 GB, it will fail. It will not work. This is with the free version, but nobody is using the free version. In the case of interview, if they ask you smartly to find out whether you have really worked in the real-time scenario or not, or real-time environment, they will ask you what license that your customer has used. Tell them that they are using premium license, Power BI premium license. Don't ever say free or pro license. Okay, one student, right? She recorded the interview, sent to me, and she said pro license. Okay, with that itself, they can find, because in the project description, she put one of the largest US retail chain she's working. In that case, you cannot use pro, right? Pro also has some pro license. You have something called pro license and a premium license. And the free one is what we are doing. Is free license on the cloud service is available only for 60 days. And then each file should not each file size should not be more than 1 GB. And overall you can use 10 GB. But with the premium license, you can go 50 GB and above. Each file size can be 50 GB and above. Okay, 50 GB plus you can store the data. Pro license also, right? 20 GB plus you can store the data. You can tell them in simple pro license they are using it. And the cost and all, if they ask, we do not know. I'm a developer. We don't have access to the cost and all. We are not aware of that one. That's all. The advantage with import data is, this is one limitation with the free version. And the advantage with imported, you can use all DAX functions. All DAX functions. What is DAX function? DAX stands for Data Analytics Expression. DAX stands for Data Analytics Expression. So this is a function. There's a set of functions are available. With these functions, you can do advanced analytics. Advanced analytics you can do with DAX function. Basic to advanced analysis, you can do it. Why do I need to do advanced analytics? Only when you do the advanced analytics, you will get more insights. The more insights you get it, the more better you can handle your business, more better you can fine-tune your strategies. For example, when you do advanced analytics, something like I wanted to see the expenses, how much expenses are we incurring it across each subcategory, and why are we incurring that expenses. You want to take a deep dive. So in that case, what will happen is when you use DAX function, for example, you want to compare the current year, say revenue, current year profit, and current year, this one, the expenses, with the previous year, same period. Okay, or the current quarter revenue and expenses and profit margin. Right, quarter two of this year, 2022 quarter two, what is the revenue, expenses, and profitability? And the last year, same period, same quarter, what is the revenue, what is the expense, what is the profitability? This kind of little advanced analytics. But with the DAX functions, you can generate a report with much, you don't have to do heavy lifting with the DAX function. It is very simple. The built-in functions are readily available. Okay, plain vanilla. Simply, you pass the argument, the required argument, and you specify the source system table name. That's it. So, in a matter of second, your coding job will be done. Okay, we have some parallel period and same period last year. All right, and again, date add function is there. Okay, you can go backward and go forward with those functions, but it will not take much time. Okay, so these are the kind of analytics, right? You can do it in a very simple way. Okay, otherwise you just think you have to write a program, Python program, to compare current year, last year. You need to write lines and lines of code even for this. But with these functions, it will simplify your job. Okay, so advanced learning, but with this, you will get to know, okay, compared to last year quarter two and this year quarter two, where we stand. Are we seeing any upward trend, in the revenue and profitability, not in the expenses? The objective is we want to increase the revenue, profitability also we want to increase, we want to cut down the expenses. Right, with the simple DAX functions, you can perform this kind of advanced analytics, and with this, you will get to know quickly what is happening. Are we on track with respect to all these parameters? Yes, good. Okay, so all kind of DAX functions, basic, advanced level of DAX functions also, okay, you can use it in the case of import connectivity mode, and also the import mode is much faster compared to any other mode. Why it is faster, import connectivity mode? I will explain you now. So you have let's say you have the sales file, or let's you have customer dimension. Customer data is all in an Excel file. Okay. You want to load this Excel file into your Power BI using import connectivity mode. Listen very carefully. It's a very interesting one. What Power BI does is, in the case of import connectivity mode, it converts your tabular data. Excel is also kind of tabular data. When you open your Excel file, you can see the data stored in rows and columns, isn't it? This is how the data gets stored. It is stored in your Excel file. This is a kind of a tabular format. Tabular format. Which one? The Excel is also. Avinash, are you getting it? Tabular format. So when you use the import connectivity, what will happen is, there is something called X velocity. This is a piece of software. This is the engine which runs behind the scene in the case of import connectivity mode to convert this tabular data into columnar data. I just write it neatly. This is also, they'll ask you, okay, how the import data connectivity mode is working. See, this is my sales.xls file. Let's use sales.xls. Okay, this is my Power BI. In Power BI, we are loading this file using import connectivity mode. Excel is the tabular data, tabular format of the data. So in the Power BI software, behind the scene, we cannot see that. Okay, there is something called X velocity. Can you guys see your heart? Can you guys see your stomach? You can see it in X-ray, you can see it in a scan, but can you see it with your eyes? You cannot see it, right? Directly, you cannot see it. Something like that. Okay, the X velocity is something running behind the scene. See, you eat good food, right? You, let's say you went to a five-star hotel, you had a very good food, you enjoyed the food, everything. But to digest the food, are you doing anything? To digest the food, are you doing anything? Nothing, right? Our system automatically takes care of it. Digestion is taken care of by my stomach and my intestine. That's all. Right? I don't have to do anything for that. Similarly, X velocity is something running behind the scene. What it does is it converts your tabular data into columnar data. One second, somebody is waiting. What happened? Avinash got dropped. Okay, what is happening is the X velocity is the one converts your tabular data into columnar data. Any problem? Most of you are getting dropped, and then the X velocity converts your tabular into columnar data. Fine. Okay, columnar format. Why? Okay, why it has to convert the tabular into columnar? So in this case, what is happening is why it has to convert the table into columnar. For example, you have columns like in the sales file, you have something like, listen, you have something like region, okay, and then you have something else called country column, region, and then product name and quantity and sales, right? These are the things are there. Okay, these are the values are there in the sales table. Your manager wants to see a country-wise, region-wise sales performance. What is the total sales? Give me that. In this case, I just put 5 columns. Example sake. In the real with the real data, you might be having right close to 35, 36 columns are there. 36 columns. In some cases, you have 86 columns. Let's assume that 86 columns are there, and then this Excel has lot of data in it. 86 columns and lot of data are there in this Excel file. And the idea of the X velocity to convert tabular to columnar is each column, in the case of columnar database, it stores the column, each column separately. Each column value is stored separately. For example, region will be stored separately, and then the country is stored separately, and then sales is stored separately. Columnar database, each columns are stored separately. In the case of columnar database, what it does is, supposing I want to see the sales by country, by region, it goes directly to these columns and then select the data. That's it. Hence, the performance is faster. You might be arguing this one, sir. In the case of row, also the same thing, right? If I give region, country, sales column, obviously it goes and select only these values. According to us, it selects the region, the country, sales column data. But behind the scene, what happens is, the case of RDBMS and all, right, it is a row-based table. It is a row-based data. The data gets stored. The tabular format is row-based. What happens is it goes to the first column. Let's say the first column is something like order date, something like order date and order number, everything is there. What it does is, let's say you have 86 columns. First, it goes and checks the first column. Okay, we need a region, country. First column is order number, ignore it, skip it. And then next go to your order date, go and check whether it is a region or country. No, skip it. Until it finds the region, country, sales column, it has to skip unnecessarily many columns. Skipping takes time. especially when you work with huge volume of data, why to go and check whether this one is a region column or not? Why you need to skip it? Instead, you store it separately. In the case of columnar database, this is what is happening. Nowadays, the columnar databases are very popular. They call this a NoSQL database also. NoSQL databases. Apache, Cassandra, and Impala. These are all the example for NoSQL databases. The Xvelocity converts your tabular data into columnar data because in the case of columnar database, each column are stored separately. So that when you query the data, it goes directly to the respective column and then retrieve the data. Hence, it is pretty faster. This is the first step. Xvelocity converts your table into columnar data. Next, what happens is, in step 2, what it does is, it does some kind of encoding. It does something called encoding. And then it is nothing but, compressing the data. Compressing the data. The source file, the table or Excel file got converted to columnar format, and then it compresses the data, kind of zipping the file. The third step is it loads the compressed data in memory. In memory. If you compress the data, it will not consume much space. If you load the compressed data in memory, memory also will not be consumed too much. See how smart, right? They came up with something like they introduced the Xvelocity engine. The role of the Xvelocity engine is step is this one: convert the tabular into columnar, and then compress the data, and then load the data in memory. If anything is available in memory, the performance will be very faster. Supposing if I ask you guys, what is your spouse's name or contact number? Sorry, contact number. What is your wife's contact number? Sorry, wife. Okay, not wives. What is your wife contact number? You can tell immediately because it is there in your memory, right? You can tell immediately. You know your wife number very well. If I ask your father name, you will contact number, you will tell immediately because it's all in memory. If I ask your neighbor's brother number, contact number, what you will say? No, wait. I will go and check it in my mobile phone. I'll tell you. In that case, you go and check it and then you tell. So what I'm trying to say is anything you have it in memory, the performance is faster. If I ask your dad's contact number, you tell immediately. There is no wait time. It is in memory. So that is the idea here. It loads the data in memory. Since the data are available in memory and also it is stored in the columnar format, the performance is very faster. You understood the underlying mechanism of the Xvelocity. This is the engine. Okay, this is kind of a workhorse behind the Power BI. Okay, it's kind of a workhorse behind this one. So this is the one. Okay, it does all the things. 3 steps. One is table out to columnar, it converts, and then second is it compresses the data. Third step is it loads the compressed data in memory. So the encoding is nothing but it uses different techniques to do the compression. This will take a deep dive when I cover the DAX topic. Okay, that is the last session of the Power BI. Let us not worry about that. And only limitation with the import data is in the case of free license, you cannot load a huge volume of the data, import it. Okay, if anything exists more than 1 GB, see here it compresses the data. Even after compressing the data, if it exceeds more than 1 GB per file, it will fail. Number one, that is one disadvantage. But nowadays, nobody, in the case of enterprises, they don't use free version. Even pro licenses, they don't use it. Most of them, they are using premium license. Okay, you just keep that in mind. Okay, you tell them this is one limitation. And other limitation with import data is you need to refresh the data periodically. You will, in the case of SQL Server, so forget about Excel file. Okay, at this moment, let's forget. Instead of Excel, you say no, sales is a table. That is available on SQL Server. You say as of today is 4th December, right? So as of 3rd December 2022, you loaded the data into your Power BI desktop. Listen, yesterday data you loaded in Power BI desktop, and your report will show yesterday's data. But your manager wants to see today's data. So in that case, what you need to go to the SQL table, sales table, and then get today's data and then load it here. In the case of import mode, you load it only one time, right? 3rd December only you loaded the data. And yesterday data only you loaded it. You want to see, okay, yesterday report was good. It was very much helpful. But when I open the report today, it should show today's sales performance. Today's data should be. So you need to refresh the 4th December today's data into your Power BI desktop. Today's data you need to refresh it in the case of import connectivity mode. But in the case of direct connect mode, since you are directly connected to the SQL table, you don't have to do the refresh, because whenever you create any visual or whenever you refresh it, it goes directly to your SQL server and pick up the data from there. This is one kind of limitation. You need to refresh it. In the case of import data, you need to refresh the data, and there is a limitation with respect to the file size, per file size, right? In the case of pre-license. But apart from this, the advantages, many. You can use all DAX functions. Apart from this, you can do all kind of data transformation in the case of using Power Query Editor. In Power Query Editor, there are no limitations. And in DAX also, there are no limitations. All functions, you can use it. No problem, Deepak. You can watch my video, right? You're fine. I just explained the underlying mechanism, okay, in the case of import mode. The next one is the direct query mode. Okay, in the case of direct query mode, as I said, it directly connects to it doesn't require any refresh. But one disadvantage with direct query is you cannot use all DAX functions. You cannot use all DAX functions. All DAX functions, you cannot use it. Only some DAX functions only you can use it in direct query. There are some business logic, right? You want to implement it using DAX function because you are much familiar with DAX function. But when you use the direct connect mode, certain DAX functions will not work. In that case, you have to go and write a query or create a stored procedure in your SQL server itself. That is the reason why learning SQL query or SQL server along with Power BI is mandatory. Okay. See, once you learn the SQL query, SQL server, the same thing is applicable for all the other RDBMS, Oracle, Teradata and all, right? So the same thing is applicable, but only the syntax will be different. That's all. Mild difference will be there. All DAX function, you cannot use it. That is a disadvantage. In the interview, they asked, our candidate, our student. So what are the DAX functions that you cannot use in direct query mode? Add columns. You cannot use add columns, and you can write and a couple of other functions. Okay, you cannot use it. Anyhow, I will explain you when I cover DAX, which all functions DAX function will work with the direct query connectivity mode, which one it will not work. I will explain that time. Okay. And also you cannot perform all data transformation in Power Query Editor. PQ stands for Power Query Editor. Okay, PQ Editor. What is data transformation? Cleaning the data. For example, you want to combine the two columns into a single column, or you wanted to create some index. Right. So in those kind of advanced, data transformation are not possible. It will say direct query mode, we cannot do this. Simply it will say Any limitations for that, the only alternate way is you need to go to the source system SQL Server, either create a view or create some, join the table there itself, whatever the data cleaning or data transfer that you need to do, you need to write a SQL script there. Okay, so the DAX function, you have a limitation, and a data transfer also you have a limitation. Okay, using Power Query, we can do only some amount of data transfer, that's all. So these are the things, if you remember it, it is fine. Now the question, now you understood the limitations or the disadvantage, but when it comes to limitations, there are no limitations. It will not consume any space in your local system because you are not importing the data locally. Okay, you're not importing any data locally, and you don't have to do the data refresh. In the case of import, you have to refresh the data, isn't it? You don't have that headache here, but you cannot use DAX function and you cannot perform extend. You can use, but limitations are you cannot use all DAX. You cannot do all kind of data transformation using direct query. The next question is, this is the difference between import and direct query mode. The next question is, which one is better? Which one is faster? Import or direct query? Import is best because the data is available in memory. But on a case-to-case basis, you need to decide which mode you need to use it. I will explain you at the end of the training program. Okay, we have something like software development life cycle. In that situation, I will explain you in detail the ETL part. Don't worry. But at this moment, you just keep in mind if the file sizes, if the table size is too high, too huge. Anything above, let's anything above, let's 5 million records. We say anything about 5 million records. If you say if the table size is too huge, then you can go for direct query. And they will ask you, what do you mean by too huge? I know how huge is huge. Anything above 5 million above, or very huge one. So in that case, what we do, we simply use the direct connectivity mode. Anything less than 5 million, then we go for import data mode. So now you understood the advantages and disadvantages using import data. Import data, the disadvantages, you need to keep refresh the data. To make your report up to date, you need to keep refresh the data. And the file limitations are there. The data will get loaded locally. Okay, and it requires space in your local system. The next one is the direct query mode. In the case of direct query mode, you don't have to refresh the data, but you cannot use all DAX function. You cannot do all kind of data transformation. When to use direct query use, when to use import connected mode. If the table size is less than, for example, less than 5 million, then you can go for the import mode. Anything more than 5 million, or let's say not 5 million, let's say 2 million. Let's make it 2 million. Anything more than 2 million, then you can go for direct query, or else you can use import. We discussed about the advantages, disadvantages, the limitations, and when to use which one. Performance wise, direct query is faster when it comes to this kind of scenario. If the table size is too big, then you can go use direct query, the performance will be faster. But if the table size is 2 million, and if you don't use the import data, and if you use the direct query mode, the performance is not good. Because the data is available locally here once you import it. Hence, the performance will be faster. And also behind the scene, the X velocity, compress the data, load the data in memory, hence the performance is much faster, right? Fine. The next one is the live connection. Live connection, it does not store a second copy of the data into the memory. Only 1 second. I will just give me a second. Sorry, there is some disturbance here. Okay, next one is the live connection. Live connection is also like direct connectivity mode. It does not store a second copy of the data into your local system or in the memory. Data will be left in the source system itself. Okay. The visualization, the visuals will query the data source every time from Power BI. You say you have a column chart or bar chart. Whenever you do refresh, the data will be read from the live system only. Okay. 1 second. So, but the live connection works only with SSAS, SQL Server Analytical Services, and then Tabular and SSAS multi-dimensional or cube. Okay, multi-dimensional or cube. And then you have something called Power BI service. Only for these source system, the live connection will work. How many of you remember the Power BI or data PBIDS file, how to connect it? I explained it in the last session, right? So in this case, what we are doing is, this is your Power BI desktop. This is your Power BI cloud. Right, cloud service. This is your cloud service. You publish the report. This is your report. You publish the report. Okay. Let's say you are a team lead. You create, included all the necessary tables, and then you publish it here. Let's say your team developers, right? They have another report. They want to use all the tables or part of the tables that you have already created the report that is available here. And these guys, they import this one. They import it. While imported, they use something called PBIDS connectivity mode, connector. PBIDS connector. Okay. Once they import it, that's all. You cannot mix any other files along with the PBIDS file. You cannot use Excel file. You cannot use any other file. You can use only the PBIDS related data files. When you open this PBIDS file, the report file, what all the tables that used in the report, that will be available in your system. But you cannot see the data. You cannot do any data model design there. You cannot use your model view. You cannot do any data model design. That is not possible. And then the data transformation, the Power Query editor data transformation is also not possible. I'll just write it. In the case of live connection mode, Arvind, I already discussed about this one, right? The import, direct and live connection differences. The same thing, I'm repeating it. Arvind joined late now. Just now he joined. Okay. See, the first thing is with live connection. You cannot. It is solely used for PBIDS file. You cannot mix any other file. Excel. Once you use PBIDS file, you cannot use anything else along with this. Number two is only the metadata will get loaded. Metadata, like direct connect, only the metadata will get loaded in your Power BI desktop. Only the metadata will get loaded. And third one is you cannot do any data model design. You cannot do any data model design, but you can use DAX functions. Compared to direct connect mode, live connection supports more DAX functions, but still there are some limitations. But compared to direct connect mode, live connection supports little more functions, DAX functions, but you cannot do any data transformation. Data transformation, Power Query editor. You cannot open Power Query editor. No data transformation, no data model design, and only the metadata will get loaded here. You cannot mix any other file along with PBIDS. I will just show you one more time. From the way you think, right? I think you are not able to remember it. I will explain with one more time. I'm going to open a new file. I clicked on file and then I clicked on the new report. Okay, I clicked on new. Now it is going to open a new report. Let's wait for some time. Yeah, it is opening the other one. Wait. This is my new report file. I just click on this cross. Fine. It's a brand new thing. Okay. Here, what I am going to do is I'm going to click on the get data as usual. Here's something called Power BI data sets. Second connector. Remember this. Don't ever forget, Avinash. I just click on it. It got connected to my cloud service. You don't worry how it connects everything, right? I will explain you later. It's all available in cloud. Power BI cloud. It connected there. So what I am going to, these are the data files that are related to the reports. See, this is the report I published on cloud in the past. The corresponding data file also got published automatically. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this report data file. This is called your PBIDS file. Look here in that report file. These are the tables are available. Look here on the right side. You see here calendar auto and sales W04. These are the tables that are available there. Okay, if I want to see the data, look here, the data view itself that icon got disabled. In the case of this is called a live connection. It is also called as a live connection. I mentioned about this one. In the live connection, it supports only SSIS, SSAS, tabular and the dimensional, multidimensional, and then it supports only the Power BI service. Power BI is nothing but the Power BI data set. Okay, Power BI data service or something. Okay, I just clicked on the Power BI data sets. It got connected to my cloud because already mentioned the username, password, server name, everything. It's kind of a cookie. It got, whenever I click it again, first time only it will ask the username, password. Second time onwards, it will not ask. It will connect directly to that. That is what happened. And then I just selected the report design dashboard version 0.1, that report file or the data file. It loaded these data files from that file. That single file has this many number of tables in it. Fine. But I cannot see the data here because the data view got disabled in the case of live connection mode. Look here, this is my data model here. On top of each table, you can see the blue color line. So when you see blue color line, it could be either a direct connection mode or it is the live connection. But when you keep the cursor here on the right side, you can see it right here. SQL Server Analysis Service Database, dev services in the cloud. This is the folder I stored this file, and it shows all things. And then the report database name is report dashboard design 0.1. It is a live connection. Here, look here. If I want to remove the relationship between this table, I cannot. See, I selected this line, and right click on it. It is not working. You cannot modify anything here. Simply, you can see here. You can view it here, but you cannot do any modification. You cannot delete. You cannot add any columns here. Only thing is, if I share it to a developer, you should use all these tables. So the one advantage is you need not to know where these files are available, in which server, what is the username, password. You need not to be aware of that one. Everything, let's say I am a project leader. I created everything. I imported all the tables, everything. I give it to Avinash. Avinash is my developer. All he has to do is, go and click on the report here. For example, here the clustered column chart, and then go and pull the, for example, category, you pull here. And when you drag and drop the sales column here, the report will be ready. Now what happens is the moment when I drag and drop it, it will send a query to my cloud. It is now it is trying to pull the data from cloud. That's why it takes time to load it here. The data is not available locally. It is all available in cloud. Okay, and I was talking about the disadvantages. When you click on the get data, you cannot use any other source files. Like you cannot use Excel, you cannot use CSV file, you cannot use any web service. You cannot include any other tables from SQL Server. If you use Power BI data sets, you will work only with the Power BI data set. You cannot mix any other thing. Whenever you drag and drop anything, the query will be sent directly to your Power BI cloud. So from there, it will read the data and then it will populate it. And other thing is like, look here in the transform data, I cannot click on this. When I click on this, it will open the Power Query editor. Only when you are allowed to go to Power Query editor, you can do data transformation. First of all, he is not allowing you. With this, we are able to understand we cannot do any data cleaning, data pre-processing, nothing we can do. Data pre-processing, loading the data, everything is the responsibility of project leader. It is my responsibility. I am the project leader. Let's assume that way. I loaded the data, I cleaned the data using Power Query, and then I published on cloud and used the Power BI data set, connectivity mode, and you imported it as a developer. Let's say you are Avinash is a developer, report developer. You need not to do data cleaning. You need not to do data model design. Simply create the report. Just put it here and use another thing like this one. This is the one he has to do. Create the report. That's all. His job is pretty simple, isn't it? You need not to load the data. You need not to worry about the source system, file name, and the server name. And you don't have to do the data model design. You don't have to do the data cleaning. Loading, data cleaning or data transformation, data model, these three things you need not to do because it is a live connection. Someone has done it already. It's a plain vanilla. It's something like ready mix. Let you know the parota is readily available in a shop. You go and buy it and then put it in on top of tawa and eat it. Ready to eat kind of thing. Everything is done it already. Simply create the report. That's all. Live connection. The limitation here is yes, you cannot. These are the limitations, right? You cannot use any other files along with Power PBA datasets. For example, if you want to use another Excel file along with this, it is not possible. Other limitation is you cannot do any data transformation. You cannot do any model design. You cannot change anything here. Okay. The next question is, when should I go for live connection? When you go for this kind of situation, let's say somebody has already, you want to have a centralized control. If I don't allow you to delete or modify here, what will happen? It is secured, right? We can easily find out where the mistake is. Suppose you have created a relationship between these two tables. For example, if I keep the cursor here, this one get highlighted. Look here. Avinash, can you see the date, right? And if I move this up, if I keep the cursor here, order date got highlighted. Let's say mistakenly, I created the relationship between date and ship date. I did the mistake and I cannot blame somebody else. Hey, I did not do that. I cannot say because Avinash don't have any access to it to modify it, right? Centralized control. Okay. Better management. You don't have to allow your report users to make any other changes. This is one advantage, and they do not know the connection details. But DAX functions, they can use it. Not all the DAX functions, like how you use it in import connectivity mode. But compared to direct connectivity mode, you can use a little more DAX functions. And data transmission not possible. Okay, the next question is, So in the case of, let's say you don't want your developer to not to do any data transformation, don't do any data model design. In that kind of highly secured one, better you can go for live connection. Okay. And now the question is, compared to direct query and live connection, which one is faster? Even in the case of live connection, we don't have to do the data refresh. Compared to these two, the live connection is faster. Why live connection is faster? This is also somewhat similar to the direct query, isn't it? It is not importing the data locally. Whenever you drag and drop any column into your visual, the column chart or something there, it queries the cloud service data only, right? Like this one. Hence, it does not do any different. But compared to direct query, live connection is, when it comes to speed, the performance, this one is faster. The reason is, for example, take for example the classic in SSAS. SSAS, dimensional, multi-dimensional, all right. There's something called cube. There is something. How many of you know cube in the data warehouse business intelligence? They create something called cube in your SSAS software, multi-dimensional software. What we are doing is, you are using Power BI. We are connecting directly to the cube, and then we are pulling it here. Okay. So even in this case, only the metadata will come here, and the data will be available here, and it goes and queries whenever you create any new visuals, it goes and queries the data from here. The advantage here, the reason why live connection is far better than direct connected mode is, even in the case of SSAS, the cube will get loaded in memory. Here also in memory. And since it is in memory, when you query the data is already available in memory, the performance will be faster. So in the interview, they ask you of these three modes, which one is faster? Still, import data is the faster, import connectivity but data mode. So you can tell them, see, if the interviewer asks me a question, let's say Avinash is my interviewer, is asking me, which one is better? Now I can tell the answer to Avinash like, we have import, direct and live connection mode. If the data volume is reasonably less, in the sense less than 2 million, then we can go for import connectivity mode, because import connectivity mode outperform other type of connectivity mode, number one. Number two is, the data file size is more than 2 million, better you can go for direct connectivity mode. Direct connectivity mode. But in the case of import connectivity mode, there are some disadvantages, like you cannot do data refresh. You need to do data refresh, periodically. In the case of direct connection mode, you don't have to do frequent this thing. Let's say in our organization, we are using the SQL server as a source system. Hence, we use direct query mode, direct connectivity mode for to work with huge volume of the tables. Live connection, we did not use live connection, but still I have an idea. Live connection can be used only with SSAS table or SSS multi-dimensional, and you have Power BI service, you can use it. For example, a PBA DS files, you can import it from your cloud to a local system. But compared to all these three modes, we cannot generalize which one is best. If the volume of the data is reasonably less, the import is better compared to all these three options. If the volume of the data is very high, and if you are using SQL Server direct connectivity mode, or if the volume of data is high and if you are using live connection is better. Anything huge volume data, better you can query the source system data itself. Full stop. Any questions? Please ask me a question now. I finished it. Pravat, why don't you ask me a question? Interesting questions, ask me now. Pravat or somebody else. Pravat is there? Yeah, he is there, Pravat.
Yes, yes.
You ask me, shoot me some questions.
Actually, I have a doubt on cube. What is cube like?
What is?
Cube.
Yeah, cube is a multi-dimensional one. So, in school time, college time, we have used cube, right, to play cube. And if you see this small school kids, they play cube, right? See, it's something like this cube. They rotate it. So this direction, multi-dimensional, this is, they play with cube, right? The same idea here. You can slice and dice the data in any dimension. If you rotate in this dimension, you can see, for example, you have something called quarter and region. If you want to see the quarter-wise, region-wise sales, you can rotate it. Or if you wanted to see in some other dimension, right? Multi-dimensional, this one. Okay, cube is also multi-dimensional. A region. You have something called region-wise quantity, and then region, quantity, and year-wise. Right? If you turn it this one, you can see year-wise, quantity-wise sales. Like how the cube that we use it to play, right? You can rotate in any direction. Similarly, once they create the cube in the SSAS system, it's a multi-dimensional one. You can do slicing and dicing in any dimension, multiple dimension. You can do that. So for example, store-wise, region-wise, year-wise, quantity, sales performance, or by sales performance by units sold. Year-wise is year is a dimension, store is a dimension, region is a dimension. This is not a dimension. This is a measure.
So is it like space partition or something else, like this partition?
It's not a partition. There is something in the front end, right? And the SSAS, there is some option to create a cube. You just specify, that's all. But behind the scene, it creates the cube, multi-dimensional. You can, query the data in any dimension. If you want to, let's see if your manager asking you, year-wise, region-wise, the units sold, you can tell him. And if he asks you year-wise, store-wise, region-wise, number of units sold, any dimension if they ask, you can query, that's why it's called as cube is called as a multi-dimensional. You don't have to worry about the underlying, how they create. No, let's not worry about it. You can simply say SSIS, I never used it. But in SSIS, they created the cube, we connect to the cube, and the cube will, the cube data is already cached in memory. And cube is multi-dimensional. You can do slicing and dicing. Slicing with cube, you can do slicing and dicing. What do you mean by slicing and dicing? So you have a cake, birthday cake, right? You don't want to see everything. You want to only see the portion of you want to cut only the portion of the cake, right? And then what you do is, and then you take it and eat it. Slicing, you slice it and then you consume it. Slicing and dicing. Once you see, only when you create the data in multi-dimensional, if the manager asks you, tell me year-wise, store-wise, units sold. And another requirement is something year-wise, region-wise, store-wise, units sold. Any dimension, if you ask, you can tell him. That's why it's a multi-dimensional. Cube is multi-dimensional. The configuration, setting, everything, creation, everything, it is the headache of SSCS people. Okay. Probably I will show you at the end of the session. Okay. Probably at the end of the training, I'll show you how to create cube and all if time permits. Okay. Earlier, I installed my system and got crashed. At this moment, you just remember, these limitations, advantages, disadvantages, what exactly live connections all over, what source system it supports, which source system does not support. If you understand everything in depth, you are all set. Now you tell me the answer for in which place Power BI desktop data being stored. I need all your contribution. All of you, please type it in the chat window. In which place Power BI desktop data being stored? In the report file itself, right? Import mode. The data is copied into the report data itself. What is the difference between import and direct mode? I explained you now. And what is a composite mode? Composite mode is a combination of these two. You can have the import, you can, let's say in the SQL server, you have a table called employee table. You use the import mode. Okay. And then you have the sales table available in SQL server. Right, these two are available. Okay, and this one you use the direct connectivity mode. In addition to that, you are using another Excel file, customer.xls file. You are using all the type of source system files, Excel file, SQL server file, or Oracle table. That is what you are combining. The hybrid of all the source systems. That is what your composite mode. Which connectivity mode is faster, direct query or live? Live is faster compared to direct query. So the next one is the data profiling. Data profiling is also one of the, though it is a very simple task, as you know, one of the important, task as a data analyst we are supposed to do. Okay, as a data analyst, right? You need to have the data before you creating the report. You need to have the data. That is the one of the important prerequisite. Without data, you cannot do that. Okay, data is available. How good the available data is, right? And also you want to understand the data in a much better way. So in that kind of situation, you can go for data profiling. It is a process of understanding more about the data. Now the question is, why do I need to do data profiling? The advantage of doing the data profiling is to improve the quality of your data. Okay, improve the quality of your data. And for example, right, let's say you have a column which contains the individual price of different products. Let's say this prices range between 1 and 1,000. But all of a sudden, you notice a value of 100,000. Okay, in the price cannot be 100,000. You know very well, right? Unless the four-wheeler, very good, Pravath, right? Getting more insight and correct results. Yes, data, right? Make sure that for that purpose we'll be using data profiling. What Pravath he typed here is getting more and correct insights by doing the data profiling. That is the advantage. One of the advantages of doing data profiling. The thing is, right, if you have anything abnormal, see, you sell the products related to toiletry, or let's you sell something like what do you say, grocery items. You sell grocery items, or vegetable. You sell vegetables. Simple example, right? Vegetables. In your shop, you sell vegetables. You have customer name, unit sold, sales, all the things are there. But you have something called price is there. Price column is there. When you do profiling, what it does is it shows what is the minimum value, maximum of the price. What is the minimum price? What is the maximum price? What is the average price? Something you see 100,000, right? None of the vegetable cost 100,000, isn't it? None of the vegetable cost 100,000. Then by looking at this itself, the minimum prices, it's the minimum prices, some fruits you sell it at the cost of 15 rupees. Maximum prices, let's maximum 600 rupees. Some fruits cost more, 600, maximum price. Some fruits 15, starting from 15 to 600. This is the range that you sell it. But if you something with the help of data profiling, if you can easily find out in case of any outlier. Outlier is something abnormal value. Instead of 600, it shows 60,000. One fruit cost will not be 60,000. It is about one fruit I'm talking about. It's not about 10 fruits. One apple costs 60,000. Will you believe that? But I heard some guy, right? They sell it at the cost of 1 kg, 2 lakh or something like that, in the Kashmir or something. Forget about apple here, orange. One orange fruit. Avinash, if I tell you one orange fruit costs you 60,000, what you will do? You will hit me, right? You will bang me. 1 hour. So there is some data issues. Wrongly they entered it. By doing data profiling, quickly you can find out, hey, something wrong. This is called your outlier. What is outlier? Abnormal value. Outlier is nothing but the abnormal value. This is also one of the advantages of data profiling. And also you can understand, with the help of distinct, you can understand, are we selling more number of products. Let's say I'm selling only 6 fruits, 5 fruits, but it shows 6 fruits. There is something wrong with the data entry. With this, we can quickly understand and then we can fix it. We can fix it. For example, here, 6 of fruits it shows, but actually I'm selling only 5 fruits in my shop. Let's the apple. I sell apple, orange, and pineapple, and then custard apple, banana. Okay, this is custard apple. Only these 5 products I'm selling it. Ideally, the distinct should show only 5, but it shows 6. What is the problem? When you take a deep dive with your data, someone used something like custard space apple. They left a space. These two are same, but here there is only 1 space, but here they left 3 space custard apple. This is called inconsistency, data inconsistency. Due to data inconsistency also, it will show something abnormal value here. Actually, I'm selling 5 products because of data entry. One billing clerk, instead of entering custard space apple, she entered custard space apple. What Power BI does is it considers this a different fruit than this one. And then it considers 6 fruits are there. Okay, what is the impact of this one? The impact is, let's say your manager later pointed out in custard apple, how much sales we made. Actually, you made 15,000. But the other clerk, she mentioned custard space apple. The 2,000 rupees goes here, and 30,000 only will be there. When they see the report, custard apple, hurry burry, if you see custard apple only we made only 13,000. Actually, you made 13 plus 2 to 15,000. But it shows wrongly because of the wrong naming convention that used it. It splits that thing. Right? When you see this one, you can, let's say you have domain knowledge. You are working in that shop for a longer time. You know very well you sell only 5 products. You are damn sure. Only 5 fruits you sell it. Due to data entry, you recently hired one clerk. She, put data, and due to data entry, it shows 6. With that, you can easily make out something wrong. Hey man, I sell only 5 fruits. How can it show 6? So what you then you go and take a look at the data. Let's say you go and see it here. Okay, you see when you see that, oh, something wrong here. And then if you correct it here, then and there, then what we see in this case, we hardly have 5 fruits. Okay, if there is a data consistency, by looking at this, we can easily make out and we can fix it. The case of Amazon, they listed 1 billion products. Amazon, Walmart, Target and all, right? 1 billion products they listed on their website. If the due to data entry like this, custard apple, custard space, likewise 1 million products, if they do it, what will happen? It will show that the some products or fruits we are underselling. Actually, we are selling good. Because of data inconsistency issue, the values are getting splitted here and there. So now you understood the importance of doing the data with the help of data profiling. Just by looking at this quickly, you can understand something wrong. And then you take a deep dive. Oh, and then fix it. Before you create report, if you fix all these things, and if you create your report, then it will be accurate. The data will be accurate. Okay, in the case of data profiling, right? So in the case of data profiling, there are 3 options. One is the column quality, and then the other one is column distribution. Column distribution, and the other one is column profile. These are the 3 options are available as per the data profile. Column profile. So basically this one column will displays the percentage of valid or error empty data. We will directly take a look at the Power BI itself. Instead of looking at, I just close this one. This is a live connection mode. We don't need it because we cannot open the Power Query transformer. You can do data profiling inside the Power Query transformer only. Power Query Editor. Okay, just go to here and then you go here. Here, if you go to view, and here you can see the column distribution, column profile, and column quality. Okay. For example, if I click on column quality, see what happens here. When I click on this one, as soon as I click on, look here, the valid, error, and empty. So less than 1%. So we have some empty record is there. And then we don't see any error here. In case of any error, we can fix it. For each and every column, it displays the quality, valid, error, empty. These three things it shows. The percentage of valid, error, and empty, it shows. The next one is the column distribution. When I click on the column distribution, it shows the distribution or something like this. How many distinct values are there? How many? And in this case, the categorical column is ship mode. If you see ship mode here, 5 distinct values are, 1 unique is there. And if I show you here, if I click on this one, you can see that first class, same day, second class, and standard class. 1, 2, 3, 4, and blank value is there. It is counting the blank also. 5 distinct values. 4 plus 1, one value is, see, shipping mode, there are 4 types only is there, along with some blank values also there. What I do is, first thing is, I'm going to kick off this blank record. I just go to the home ribbon and then remove rows. Click on remove top rows. First one, remove the first row. I addressed one issue. Okay, fine. Next, if I click on this drop down, again, first class, same day, second class, standard. Only 4 class. In these 4 class, we are shipping the product to the customer. Let's say in the Amazon, Avinash ordered a T-shirt, right? The shipping mode is first class. He has selected it. Okay. So like Avinash, some other customer, they would have ordered in same day or first class, right? Different classes of ship mode is available here. Only 4 ship mode, they are doing it. And ideally, in the case of column distribution, show 4 distinct values, 0 unique. The next one is distinct nine, and we'll go to the region here. In the region, yeah, here we can see difficult to make out here because more data is there. Look here, 8 distinct and 1 unique value is there. I just click on it here. Can you count here? 2, 4, 6, 8 values are there. 8 market regions are there. So it tells us that 8 distinct values. What is 1 unique? What is the difference between distinct and unique? If I click on it here, and here if I click here, and US is there, and Africa is there, APAC, EMEA, and 1 unique value. Okay, it is a little bit difficult. Okay, let me do one thing. I just select TE. Okay, look here, for TE, only 1 record is there. For the market TE, only 1 record is there. There is no duplicate for this. For example, if I select other than TE, EU, Europe, more than 1 record is there. Okay. Now, the difference between distinct and unique, you would have understood, but still, you need some more explanation. The difference between distinct and unique is, the distinct means the total number of different values, regardless of how many times it appears. For example, US appears multiple times. See, US 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times it appears. But still, if somebody is asking you distinct values, you'll say only 1, right? Supposing if I see the transaction, let's say this is a name column. I wanted to know Avinash, right? Avinash, when I want to see how many number of transactions made by Avinash. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4 times he purchased it. 4 times I can see Avinash name. That doesn't mean 4 different Avinashes purchased. You understood? The same guy Avinash purchased 4 different times. Though his name appears more than once, but all these names are related to only one Avinash. That is what distinct. But in the case of distinct, the Avinash name repeats more than one time. US. You say these are Avinash, Avinash, and Avinash. Though it appears more than one time, it considered it as all these 4 Avinashes, single Avinash. Similarly for the other thing. But when it comes to TE, this is Sumit. Sumit names appears only one time. There is no duplicate. Hence it is putting unique, one unique. Okay, rest of the items are repeating more than one time. Though it repeats more than one time, it considers them the distinct. Okay, but the unique for Sumit, only one record is there. We don't see any other record. That is what the difference between. So unique is a total number of values that only appear only once. Whereas the distinct is the total number of different values regardless of how many times it appears in the data set. Though US appears more than one time, it will consider only one thing, US one time. APAC, though it appears more than one time, it considers only one APAC is there. UU appears more than one time, still it considers only one. So 8 market regions appears more than one time, but including it considers this also. Okay. But thing is, unique is, for which market region it appears only once. But here, if you see duplicate is there, hence it is not unique. US is duplicate, it will not. But TE, there is no duplicate, hence it is considered unique. So now you understood what is unique, what is distinct, and you have understood the column quality and column distribution. And then the next one is the view if you column profile. If I click on this, look here, this one will give additional insight. Look here, statistics, value distribution, everything gives. When you see that, what you can make out? In the APAC region, the bar is taller. That means more number of orders we received it from APAC region. Tuck, right? When you see this one, instantly you can understand. That is the beauty of visualization. The next top, order that we received was EU. The next one is US and LATAM, EMEA, Africa, Canada. And here it shows count, total number of values in this column. Which column I selected? This is market, right? Yeah. I selected this column. This one it shows for this column. Okay. So here in the market column, 1000 values are there. No error, no empty, and distinct 8, unique 1. Minimum is APAC and maximum is T. You might be wondering, minimum, maximum is used only for number? No, even for text also it used. The minimum in the case of text is your alphabet. A is minimum, right? That is the one starts at the beginning of alphabet. And compared to A, the T is falling behind in the alphabet. And this is the maximum. And this one will give you a quick idea, the distribution, column distribution. Instantly, APAC region is doing outstanding job. Next one is EU and US, and Canada and TE and Africa and EMEA, we're not faring well. And TE, we are not doing good. Better we can shut down the operation there. Or Canada also, we can close the operation there. Just because we are getting less money, less orders, why do we need to have shop staffs and all, right? Close it. So this one helps you to make a decision instantly. And with the help of the data profiling, we can understand any data related issues are there, any outliers are there, we can find out immediately. And now I just selected this one. And let's say if I select quantity, it shows something different here, right? Here I can see the distinct value is 14. In the case of numeric value, distinct value doesn't require minimum, max only we'll see it. Minimum quantity. One customer, some customers they order only one product, but some customers they order up to 14 items. The average, if you take the average, 6.03 standard deviation, and then even, odd, and all it shows how many number of even orders. For example, 2, 4, 6, 8 quantities they ordered. How many number of orders they ordered, something like a 3, 5, 7, 11, like that. Okay, guys, you understood what is data profiling. And with this, you can easily make it. For example, minimum and average and with the maximum 14. Okay, we don't see any data related issues. Here also, we don't see any error. School, everything is fine. Likewise, you can randomly select the columns that are of utmost importance and see the distribution, everything. And everything is correct, good. It is always good, do the data profiling and then go ahead and do the data transformation. And then you do, this one will help you to do the data transformation, right? Before you do the data transformation, if you explore this, are there any problem is there in the data? So what data transformation I did? I removed the first record. That is also one of the data transformation, right? After I seeing here, the empty record less than 1%. So I understood one empty record is there. I intentionally cleared it. I removed it. So this is the precursor or the first step you need to do it. Before even you do the data cleaning, this one will help you to understand where the problem is there in the data at a high level, and then you can go ahead and clean the data, and also implement your business logic. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay, I will wrap up the session now, and I will have to compensate the class. I will check back with you all right? If based on, then, almost 7 more people, they did not join today. I'll check with them also. And then I'll see to that if I can compensate it on this weekday or so. Okay. And I will first check with you all. And if you're all okay, we'll do that. Otherwise, what we'll do is next weekend, we will increase the duration. Okay. 2 hours solid, we'll cover it. Instead of 1 hour, 40 minutes. So half an hour, we'll increase the duration. Okay. Gradually increase it. And that way, I'll make sure I'll compensate it. Okay, since you don't have any questions, I'm going to wrap up the session. We'll upload the video sometime later tonight, and most likely tomorrow by 11 a.m. you will be able to see the videos. Okay.